but Smile is my recently acquired Roland SH-101. I only paid $500 plus about $100 shipping, and I want to talk to you about that. As soon as this showed up, I knew I was going to talk about it on YouTube, and I feel like getting the deal is so much of a part of it for me, so much a part of the story for me, that I couldn't leave it out. And if I just brought it up or used it for clickbait, then that would be bragging, and I don't want to do that, and that's not valuable to anybody. So the topic of this video became how to approach a deal that's too good to be true. I'm going to walk through the whole experience of finding this on eBay, interacting with the seller, taking all the steps I could to make sure my money was safe and this wasn't a scam. And if it turned out to be a scam, I was ready to give my money back. I certainly have at least one example where going for it turned out to be the right move, but I have a few others where I had to fight for my money back. I never got the product, and I've even lost money. I've been scammed once or twice. So my hope for this is, after watching this, if you see something that seems like it's too good to be true, or any deal you really want to go for, don't back out of it because it seems shady. Understand your options to protect yourself and your money and go for it. And for those of you that were going to go for it anyway, a few extra steps to give yourself a little more security as you go through the deal. If you are subscribed, thank you so much. After a very gracious plug from Florian of Bad Gear fame, I have been catapulted past 1,000. I'll never forget that. It means a lot to me. If you aren't subscribed and you've made it this far, I think you've proven this content has value to you. And if you subscribe, you'll be introduced to gear, concepts, ideas that you didn't even know would be helpful to you. I think that's pretty cool. The first one, for example, is how to approach a deal that's too good to be true. Let's get into it. Alrighty, I'm just going to go chronologically, and where a better place to start than the listing. I probably found this by, I don't remember specifically, but most likely I found it by searching synthesizer ending soonest. I do that. I'll see everything that might be a good deal. There is one picture, I don't believe it's of the exact unit I have. When I first saw it, it was only at a couple $100. It was listed as local pickup only in Baton Rouge, and I am located in the Midwest. And then here in the description, this is all they said, and a few things made me stay interested. One, it was very, very low, and it was kind of close to ending, and in the description, they call out shipped with priority mail. So the very first thing I did was say, I noticed this is listed as local pickup, but you mentioned shipping in the description, and they said, yes, we'd be willing to ship, which is amazing, and then immediately after, do you have a picture of your actual unit? Everybody's got a cell phone these days. There's no excuse for not being able to put a picture online or email me one or send it here, and I get this in return, which is much more promising than the stock-looking photo they put on, and which is great, super exciting. This is a trick I've used a few times. I reverse image search when I'm not sure if the picture I'm seeing on a listing is the actual unit I'm trying to buy, but if you right-click on an image and then search Google for this image, this lets me know that it isn't anywhere else online. No other sizes of this image found, but it doesn't look like there's any exact copies of the image they sent me, which is a huge good plus sign. They took a picture of it when I asked them to, and that was it. And I now learn, because it isn't part of the listing and it isn't part of the original image, this has the mod grip, it has the manual, it has the original carrying case, which is all huge, huge plus. Before I get too deep into this, I don't mean to say that I'm an expert or that I have the right answers for every situation. I mean this to be just a little bit of advice, what works for me, some tips and tricks. If you try these things and it doesn't work for you, I'm sorry. It's not my fault. Okay. I always bid in the last 5, 4, 3 seconds, and I try and go up by an increment plus a little, plus a little. So if it's at $190, I won't say 200. I'll say 201.60. Right? So if somebody put 200, I beat them. If somebody put 201, I beat them. If somebody put 201.50, I beat them. I mean, I've won auctions, certainly, but I don't know if it's because I added 61 cents to any of the things that I buy, but I keep doing it. So anyway, as soon as I won the auction, because at this point I had assurance that the item existed and they told me they would ship it, and just through the interactions, they felt like a legitimate person. You can never be so sure about that. And the reverse image search is not the end-all be-all of finding out if it's a picture they just took. It is helpful. Timestamps as well, if you're ever trading anything online, have somebody put their username and the date and time and hold it on a piece of paper in front of the object. That's hard to fake. Just another idea. But I immediately come back and say, I was glad I asked about shipping. I mentioned PayPal because I've already paid them on PayPal for the item. and I want it to be right next to it at the same time, really easy to follow. And then she said, sure, I'll send you the shipping info as soon as I get it packaged up. I didn't know what to expect at this point, and I got a message pretty soon, which made me nervous. This seemed a little shady to me at first. They say, since I didn't have shipping on the original listing, it wouldn't let me change it to add it, to do shipping through eBay, which I believe, I don't think is illegitimate. And at any rate, they didn't reach out to eBay to say, how do we do this? And they said, no, you're not supposed to do that. But they list out their email for me to email them, to get my email, and they can send me a tracking number. And this, to me, is a huge red flag. If anybody tries to take you outside the bounds of the website you're buying on, you should be a little apprehensive about it. There is another explanation, and that's what happened to me here. This is somebody who's not super comfortable working on eBay or with the internet. And I trusted at this point that that's what was happening. I used the same account that I have attached to my PayPal, so they weren't getting any more information about me. They already had that email address. So I'm apprehensive about this for a few reasons. She says we need to go to an external email, which is not a good sign. They already shipped it. It was very short turnaround. And they want me to be the one to send the email because they already paid for the tracking and receipt. I never even gave them my address. So at this point, I'm thinking, okay, like this was the scam part. They get money from me for shipping, and it doesn't matter if they have to give me the money back for what I want on eBay. They'll just keep the money that I paid them externally for shipping, okay? But I'm not ready to give up yet, okay? So I emailed the address I was given. Very simple. This is all I said. Here's an email where you can send the tracking and the shipping receipt like they asked, and I address it directly. What address did you send to? Because I never sent you one. And they immediately replied with my actual address, which they got off of eBay. It was a little weird to me that they didn't ask. I feel like anybody would ask if they were just going to assume an as shipping address. They included a UPS receipt that looked like it was scanned on a scanner, okay? I'm not going to pull it up. There's too much personal information. What's on that receipt seems legitimate, and the weight and size dimensions seem legitimate. And there was a real tracking number on it. And I checked the tracking number right away, and there was no results yet. What was on that address was a store number. And so I looked up that UPS store number, and I called that UPS store in Louisiana. And I said, this is my name, this is my address. Did somebody drop off a package today for me? And the guy said, let me look in the back. Yes, they did. I have a box about whatever size he said for your name and your address. And I asked about the tracking number. Should I expect to see nothing on the tracking number yet? And he said, you won't see anything until Monday evening, I believe. Great. At this point, I trust that the package exists and is of somewhat legitimate size at a Louisiana UPS store. Shocking still. At this point, I'm comfortable sending the PayPal money for shipping. I don't trust them enough to use friends and family, which, if you aren't familiar, PayPal Friends and Family takes out service fees because it takes out the protection. And so, as far as I understand it, as long as you pay for goods and services, you have some guarantee that the goods and services you paid for will be delivered. Shipping, in this case, probably considered a service. So I didn't see this as a problem that it happened outside of eBay, because PayPal covers this on their own, and they do all sorts of external sources as well. Okay, minutes later, said that I paid, and I rounded up a little bit because I knew I got a very good deal, and it didn't hurt me to round up, and I wasn't sure what fees were going to be for not using friends and family, but I didn't want to irritate these people at all. They had already done a lot for me. They said thank you, and that's the end of my interaction with them. Then it was just waiting, and a few days later, the package shows up. One thing I've been doing for a while, whenever I package a synth up to sell it, I film it. Whenever I open a synth from anywhere, I film myself opening it, because I then have proof of the condition at the moment I opened it. Let's say you buy something online under the assumption that it's fully functional, right? And it shows up, and you open it up, and you plug it in, and it isn't working. I like to film that first moment of opening up, and then you have proof of any cosmetic damage, that you didn't drop it, or knock it around. That's what it looked like as soon as it came out of the box. And if you film it the first time you plug it in and turn it on, you have proof that it does or doesn't function as soon as you got it. That is the sort of information that's so valuable if you end up in a PayPal dispute or a dispute on Reverb, both of which are very pro-buyer, just to get that out of the way. This might even be better advice for selling, but film anything entering or leaving a package. Super, super helpful to have that unlock. So what you're watching on screen now is me unboxing the SH-101 when I got it, half to protect myself in the event of an illegitimate deal, and half because I expected to use it for content. I made it to the case. It was in amazing shape. I couldn't believe it. And I opened it up, and the synth was there, mod grip, even the leather strap and the manual. Couldn't believe it. Very, very lucky. Oh my god. That's where that story ends. The buying of this synth ends with me getting it, and it's in amazing shape. So I am not saying I am the authority on this again. I just do these things to protect myself, and I think it's interesting to talk about and a good thing to share. I think people will hear these and have a couple more tricks in their hustling belt. So if there's anything I can provide, it's tips for hustling, because I do a lot of it. Appreciate you watching. Hey, I really hope you get some deals of your own, okay? I can't be the only one. I need other people beating me to these deals. Always over-communicate. Ask as many questions as you want. Ask as many questions as you can. Do not be afraid to ask more information or more images. If it's a good enough deal, it doesn't hurt to ask. You should just go for it. For more images, if you could make a more informed decision with that, again, there is no reason not to. If they say no, then you don't have any extra information. You have exactly what they gave you, which in some cases can be damning. To tell you the story of time I actually got scammed, somebody insisted on Google Pay to hold an amp for me. I thought it was an old lady selling a guitar amp she didn't understand, and I totally fell for it. Never give money to somebody to hold something unless you are 100% certain that item exists, and you're 100% certain you can get your money back if you don't buy the item. So I use Google Pay because they said they only knew how to use Google Pay. They pretended to be an old lady selling an amp for a dead husband, and I bought it, and I got swindled. So I lost $100 trying to buy Twin Reverb. That was within the year, okay? So this wasn't some ancient problem. So don't do that. Don't fall for that. Those situations do happen, but don't fall for it. You got to be careful. Alrighty, I am kind of desperate for feedback on this. So much of what I think I have to say that might be valuable to others is about this, is about buying gear, and is about selling gear, and a little bit fixing gear. And I want to know what pertaining to that or related to that you guys would see as valuable. I've toyed with and filled some content with the purpose of doing the full actual experience of individual purchases. If you think that would be fun, you got to let me know in the comments. If you think that's a bad idea, let me know in the comments. This is a little unrelated, but I want to nail down my format for something just showed up in my first impressions of it. Is it interesting to just start with my unboxing that I do to cover my ass, and then the first couple sounds I make on it? Is that valuable? Is that helpful? I don't know that people care. I don't know that people care the first patches I heard on the Mofo, for example. If that is something you'd be interested in, let me know, or if you have better ideas for first impression series, throw that in there. That's all I'm going to say. I really appreciate you watching. I honestly cannot believe that more than 1,000 people care what I have to say. It feels truly sensational. So my name's been Jorb. I love gear. Appreciate you being here. I'll see you in the next one.